I've been having a ton of fun watching this Phillies team. Since the last time we talked, this team is 5-2. They're winning a lot of baseball games. What is going on, guys? We're back in for another episode of the Cherry Pinstripes podcast. My name is Shelfie, or Dan. We are joined once again by my man Dre in the producer's chair. The guys look good. Really just picking things up where they left off from the last podcast and the podcast before. They're taking care of business. Schedule's a little bit weak here to start the season off. We're going to break down the White Sox and Red series that the Phillies played through since the last pod. And then we also have the Padres series that will be starting later tonight. 3-game set out in San Diego. The boys are going out west for their first West Coast trip before they circle back. They're going to have the Padres this weekend and then the Angels Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday before they head back. They don't have an off day again until May 2nd. I believe it's 2 straight weeks of ball. We've been seeing a lot of the bench getting at bats when we were in Cincinnati. We're going to break it all down. So let's just start right at the top with this Chicago White Sox series. It was a 3-game sweep for the Phils. They won game 1, 7-0. They had those City Connect uniforms on once again. This was the last series from that 10-game homestand last weekend. Alec Boehm had 2 home runs in this game. This was the Garrett Crochet game. Boehmer hit 2 bombs in his first 2 at-bats, had 6 RBIs by the end of the 3rd inning. Spencer Turnbull in this game took a no-hitter through 6. Trey Turner went 3 for 4. He extended his hit streak at the time to 7 games. Whit Merrifield got his first home run for the Phils off the bench, and then Orion Kerkering, again, getting some innings in that game as well. Then they flipped that over into game 2. They won game 2, 9-5. And just like Spencer Turnbull, Zach Wheeler took a no-hitter through 6 into the 7th. Nick Castellanos kind of got rolling a little bit in this game. He had a 3-hit game, 2 RBIs. Brandon Marsh went yard. We talked about him last week sliding up the lineup. Doesn't really seem to matter where they put him in the lineup right now. Brandon Marsh is just hitting this year. But this game got dicey in the 9th inning. It was 9-0 going into the 9th. Zach Wheeler gave up the no-hitter at 7 1/3. And then he came out of that game. But Ricardo Pinto, with a 9-run lead in the 9th inning, ended up giving up 5. And he came out of this game with the bases loaded, tying run at the dish. Jose Alvarado had to come in for the save. 9-0. And Alvarado registered a save in this game. It got sweaty. And that's the kind of loss right there to a White Sox team. If you manage to blow that game, that could have had like ripple effects. I started getting sweaty on the couch with that one. Trey Turner in that game as well extended his hit streak to 8 at the time. He knocked in 2 more, or put 2 more knocks on the board. And then in game 3, the Phils went for the sweep. They won game 3, 8-2. This was the Sunday game. Aaron Nola went 8 innings, 7 Ks. He gave up a 2-run homer to Eloy Jimenez in the first inning of that game, and then just shut it down the rest of the way through. Trey Turner extended his hit streak to 9 games. Alec Boehm went 3 for 5 in this series, and Junior Marte, who we've talked a lot about on the podcast, he had another scoreless inning in that game as well. Then the boys, that was the end of the homestand. The boys went out to Cincinnati. So they took a short little flight. And the Reds, I will say, not just so far this year, we've already had 2 series with this team. Even going back to like last year, the Reds they're a good team. They're on the edge. They're only a couple pieces away from being like a really competitive team, and they've played the Phillies well the last few years. We go to Cincy, we split this 4-game series 2-2. We win the first game of the series 7-0. Ranger Suarez was on the bump for the first game of that Red series. He went 7 scoreless, currently holds a 25-inning scoreless streak at the end of that game. He's been phenomenal this season. He bumped up into the top 10 for the Cy Young race. He's sliding up the ranks. The odds are they're getting worse and worse by the day if you're a betting man. Also in that game, Soto and Hoffman pitched. I'm noting that because the starting pitching was so good the week leading up to this game that we got Gregory Soto and Jeff Hoffman innings in a blowout just to get them innings. There's not been very many innings to go around for the bullpen going into Cincinnati. So we're just finding innings for these guys, which is awesome. Alec Boehm had another multi-hit game in that first game against the Reds. Castellanos. This was also the first game where Bryce Harper was off on paternity leave. Cody Clemens came up from the minor leagues for this game. He had a 3-run homer late in that game. It's cool to see Cody Clemens. I like Cody Clemens. He had some moments last year off the bench for this team, had a pretty solid spring training. You didn't know what his role was going to be. You know, we added the Whit Merrifield during spring training, so the bench spots were limited, but Cody getting an opportunity to play in Cincinnati, catches a barrel. Then game 2, the Phils, things just went south in this game. Christopher Sanchez on the mound. It was really all about the errors. Christopher Sanchez gave up 4 unearned runs in this game, and one of those errors were his, I might add. I've always felt weird about that. Like, if the pitcher makes the error, does the run have to be unearned? If the pitcher makes the error, I'm okay with that being an earned run. But, yeah, 4 unearned runs for Christopher Sanchez, and things just got ugly late. Elly De La Cruz hit a moonshot off Junior Marte. It was like a highlight. That's a home run you're going to see for a long time, the way he pimped that one. I can't lie. Thought it was kind of cool. Personally. Lost that game, then they rolled in the game 3 of this series, and they lost 7-4. So 2 straight losses in Cincinnati after they won the opener. Spencer Turnbull was lights out in this one. The bullpen was where this game went south. Turnbull went 5 innings, 8 strikeouts. His ERA is down to 1.33. We're going to talk a little bit more about Spencer Turnbull on today's podcast as well. Seranthony Dominguez. This was Seranthony Dominguez's what is going on game. ERA's up over 9 now. He just doesn't look right. Not locating the fastball. When he's not locating the fastball, the sliders, he might as well not even throw it. Everything, Seranthony Dominguez's entire game comes down to locating that fastball. And you kind of seen it right away. As soon as he got on the mound, he just didn't have it. Reds jumped all over him. Alec Boehm, though, another good note in this game, went 4 for 4. OPS is up to 979 right now at the time we're recording this. He's been great with runners in scoring position. Honestly, been our best hitter this year. And Trey Turner's been good. Alec Boehm has been the best hitter on this team consistently since day one. Edmundo Sosa was the highlight moment in this game. There was I want to say middle of this game, I believe the Reds were up by 2. Phillies had 2nd and 3rd with 1 out. And Edmundo Sosa struck out. Phillies Twitter, we were going nuts. This was like the managerial moment of this game where everyone had a say. Why didn't Bryson Stott pinch hit right here? I get it. It's a lefty on the mound. You got a righty coming out of the bullpen in this situation against Sosa. But I will say, Edmundo Sosa has been hitting the ball really well this year. Bryson Stott he's not just getting these games off because they're lefties. They're also legitimate rest days. He has not been hitting the ball well this season. Bryson Stott's a great glove. He's going to be our everyday second baseman, but it's a combination of, all right, there's a lefty on the mound, we're going to sit you, and also, okay, you kind of need to, let's take a day off here. Edmundo Sosa going into that at-bat also was 2 for 3 at the time. At the time of that 4th at-bat where everyone got a little bit upset on social media, Edmundo Sosa had 2 hits in this game. It's not like he looked bad. It's not a Johan Rojas situation. I was okay with Edmundo Sosa taking that at-bat. It's unfortunate he struck out, but if they go to Bryson Stott off the bench and he gets out, people are mad that you took Edmundo Sosa out of the game when he already had 2 hits. He looked good that day. There's always something you could poke a hole in, but I didn't necessarily hate that one. Phils lose that game 7-4, and then they split the series 2-2. Bryce Harper returned in game 4 of this series to finish it off. They win 5-0. Zach Wheeler on the mound again. Phils are starting to win the Zach Wheeler games. Zach Wheeler dominates as usual. Orion Kerkering comes out of the bullpen. Goes 1 2/3 with 2 strikeouts. He's yet to give up a run. And then Jeff Hoffman, his ERA is down to 1.59. 3 strikeouts over 1 1/3 out of the bullpen in that game as well. So 5-2 since the last time we spoke. A solid stretch. We talked about it last week and the week before. All these teams lined up on the schedule. The Phillies usually get off to slow starts. Didn't want to let that happen this year with the teams they were set to face. It'd be really bad if this team was 500 right now. It would not look good if if they blow that game against the White Sox. You would lose one of those other 2 games against the Reds. They're pitching really good right now. The rotation may be the best in all of baseball. I think the Red Sox, maybe one other American League team, have a better overall ERA, but it's close over the last 10 to 12 starts against these teams you're supposed to beat. They've been borderline unhittable, completely unhittable. So it's good to see the rotation stepping up. But let's talk a little bit about the rotation. Because this weekend in San Diego, we're going to see Taijuan Walker. And I don't know how I feel about it. Because I get it, and you knew this coming into the season out of spring training when Taijuan Walker was announced that Taijuan Walker was going to miss a couple of starts. Is it going to be Mick Abel? Is it going to be Spencer Turnbull? Who's going to hold that spot in the rotation until Taijuan Walker comes back? We've known this is what was going to happen since before the season even started. What we didn't consider was that the guy taking the ball in these starts was going to be pitching like an all-star. And now you couple that with the fact that Taijuan Walker in his rehab starts isn't striking anyone out. He's throwing 89, 90. He doesn't look right. To be completely honest, he doesn't look right. Turnbull's pitching like an all-star. If Taijuan Walker has a bad start, and we know this is someone who spends time on social media. Taijuan Walker is someone who dabbles into the internet. I think this could go south fast. If he doesn't pitch well, they're going to be all over him online. He's going to see it. I don't know how that things are just last year during the playoffs when he didn't get the ball in that I forget it. I think it was the Bailey Falter start. He jumped on Twitter after the game, was liking tweets about Rob Thompson's decision-making, and he should have got the ball. So we know he's someone that reads into the stuff. Man, it's tough. It's tough because you're paying this guy. It's a $72 million contract. You gave Spencer Turnbull a $2 million, hey, can you even pitch in this league deal? You gave him a can you pitch here deal. What can you do? He looks great, and I get it. I see the reaction on social media. I've had these conversations with the fans over the last couple of days. Spencer Turnbull hasn't pitched more than 50 innings in like 3 years. He's pitched, I think, 135 combined innings over the last 3 seasons. The most he's ever thrown was 140 with the Tigers, and that was in a season where he had 17 losses. So I get it, but I've always kept a sidebar for guys like this that played in situations like those Tigers teams. It's hard to be good on a team like that that's just destined to lose 110 games. It's not like Spencer Turnbull's never had major league stuff. He has major league stuff. He hasn't been able to put it together. I don't see any reason why you crash this wave yourself. Why crash it yourself? If he starts pitching bad, so be it. I don't see any reason why Taijuan Walker can't take a couple more starts to get himself fine-tuned. Let Spencer Turnbull let the leash go a little bit. I'm okay with even a 6-man rotation. They haven't officially announced that Spencer Turnbull's not going to pitch. Spencer Turnbull, in an interview after his last start, even said the team hasn't told me that I'm not going to start, so I'm preparing for my next start. Whatever I got to do for the team, I'll do it, but I'm preparing to start again. So maybe we're doing a 6-man rotation. But things are going to get toxic if Taijuan Walker's pitching bad and Spencer Turnbull goes to the bullpen. And that scares me because this team is a vibes team. This is an energy team. This is a team that seems to be in a cohesive unit. Taijuan Walker's going to be here for 3 more years. You don't want things to get ugly. You don't want him upset with the fans. You don't want to have another Alec Boehm situation because Taijuan Walker's not a young guy. Taijuan Walker is who Taijuan Walker is, and he's going to be making a lot of money for a couple more years. So we'll see how this goes. Hopefully he pitches good this weekend. We're going to see him on Sunday in San Diego, but I'm nervous, and I'm nervous about the off-the-field drama that could potentially come from this situation. So San Diego, let's talk about this San Diego series. We are going to get Taijuan Walker on Sunday. I believe we're getting Aaron Nola tonight. Ranger Suarez is going to pitch tomorrow for the Padres. We're going to see Joe Musgrove tonight. We're going to see Dylan Cease on Saturday, and then Michael King, who was acquired in the Juan Soto deal with the Yankees in the offseason, is going to be the pitcher against Taijuan Walker on Sunday. Right now, the Padres are 14-14 going into this series. Joe Musgrove with a 5.74 ERA. Doesn't necessarily mean anything. Musgrove's a guy, when he's got his stuff, he's tough to hit. So we'll see what he's got on the mound today. I am going to bring a friend in today to discuss some Padres. Our first guest ever on the podcast, we have my friend Ryan Cohen, voted the #1 Padres fan in the world by me.
Oh, wow, yeah, I was going to say.
By me. It's a great vote. What's going on, Ryan?
I mean, thanks for the vote. I don't know who was in the running, but I'll take it, man. Thank you.
So, yeah, we got the Padres. Phils are going to be out in San Diego this weekend. We got a 3-game set. I believe it's Nola Musgrove. We have Ranger Suarez, Dylan Cease, and then Taijuan Walker, Michael King on Sunday. Talk to me a little bit how the Pods been playing.
Should be fun. I'm excited for this series. Padres had a hard one yesterday. They were up 9-4 in the 8th in Colorado and lost 10-9
to the Rocks.
Ooh. They split the series in Colorado. Colorado for me is kind of like spring training. If good things happen, it's because your team's really good, and if bad things happen, you just throw it away. It doesn't really matter. So I'm trying to just forget about it. Yesterday was tough, dude. Being up by 5 in the 8th.
Yeah.
It's tough to lose that one. So, I don't know. Splitting with the Rockies sucks, man. I'm really bummed about it. But Cease has been phenomenal. So this weekend
I was going to ask Musgrove and Cease coming up the first 2 games. I've been keeping my eye on Michael King a lot because of the trade. I'm just super interested in that.
Sure.
But I haven't seen a Musgrove or a Cease start yet this season. So I was going to ask you on that.
Musgrove hasn't looked great, but the last couple starts were both decent. I think it was 7 innings, 3 runs in both of them.
Okay.
So, not phenomenal, but take that. Absolutely. But he hasn't been ace level like he has in the past. Cease has been
As
Young,
advertised.
and it's just fantastic.
As advertised.
And then King, if you look at his numbers, they're not great, but it's a couple starts against the Dodgers.
Flash moments, right?
Yeah, and he was fantastic against the Brewers, went 8+ of shutout ball until he gave up a run in the 9th, or it might have been the 8th. And he got rocked in Colorado. But again, like a pitcher's stats and Coors, I struggle to take that too seriously. So I think King looks fine, even if his numbers aren't there.
I love his stuff. Dude, when he's locked in, he's like a 12. He can go out there and get you 12 to 15 Ks.
Totally.
Like legit.
He's a stud.
Gross.
Yeah. So him and Cease this weekend should be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I got to ask you. When the Phils played the Padres in the playoffs a few years ago, it might sting a little bit, but you got some fun stories for me that we got to talk about here, man. And I want to start with the Bohm story.
Yeah.
You were chirping Alec Bohm with someone people know.
Yeah. So I bought standing room tickets to this game, and it was the hottest day in like autumn history in San Diego. It was like 155 degrees. I'm cooking out in right field. This is the only game the Padres won. It was the day game, game 2 of that series. And I get a text from a brand new friend. I'd met him like a couple days before, who has tickets right behind home plate, like right behind home plate, next to the Phillies dugout. Front, we were second row. He's like, hey, I got an open seat. Oh my God, all right, busted over there, you know? And I get down to the seat. We are like right next to the Phillies on deck circle. And I didn't even know who this dude was, but the guy in front of me is like chirping every Phillies hitter, and specifically Alec Bohm. Turns out it was NFL player Kenny Stills.
I love that.
My new buddy, Kenny Stills, and we are going after Bohm. And it's game 2 of the NLCS. And we're very clearly in his head. Like he's kind of turning around, like gritting his teeth. Like it's not like, you know, sometimes
he
a
can
fan
hear
goes
you.
like, oh, I got in his head. It's like, nah, you didn't.
You did.
This was a very clear case. And I don't even remember exactly what was being said, but it was something like, you know, you're going to strike out, whatever. Something dumb like that. Guy goes, strikes out, walks back, and like glances at us. This is the NLCS. I'm like, what am I doing here, bro? Like, how am I in these seats? Why is Alec Bohm looking at me? That was the one game we won. On the drive home, I'm like waving my towel out the window. Trevor Hoffman is driving next to me.
Oh my God.
We're going, oh, dude, we're going to win the World Series.
I love that.
Yeah.
When you first told me this story, I was blown away because I'm a Kenny Stills fan, and I know you don't know anything about football.
I do not.
You showed me the picture of him, and I was like, that's literally Kenny Stills. And my first thought was, I could see Kenny Stills chirping at a baseball game. I watched that guy play in college and the NFL. I've seen him chirp down 30 before. Like, I can only imagine. That's hilarious.
He was awesome. Yeah, we had a good time. He has no idea who I am, to be very clear. But I was with my friend Dave, and then Kenny was sitting in front of us, and we were all just kind of going for it. We were stoked to be there.
Dude, having a blast at a playoff game.
That was fun times.
It's a shame how that series ended.
It is a shame. I'm glad you feel that way, too.
I heard you have a Harper story, too. This one I haven't heard.
Yeah, so the day Harper hits the homer off Suarez, the biggest heartbreak of my entire life, right?
It was a great night for me.
Yeah, I'm happy for yourself. That's great. And I'm like, this is honestly like as low as I've been as a human. Like I was really sad.
I can imagine.
And
that's how I felt when your Don hit the granny in the World
I'm
Series.
sure. Yeah, it's very similar. You kind of know the series is over at that point.
Yeah, that's it.
So I'm like doom scrolling my phone, just trying to avoid Twitter because Twitter is just sad and I'm bummed. I go to my college email. I'd graduated like 4 or 5 months before. Like I have no reason to check my college email. And I got an email from Jackie at WOF.com saying you're going to be on Wheel of Fortune next week. I was like, okay.
What?
I had auditioned like 2 years prior as a joke, completely as a joke. I've never watched this show. I'm not a fan. I don't know anything about it.
You had never watched Wheel of Fortune
I'd
before.
seen it with my grandma.
I was going to say, that's a whole separate talking point.
But I hadn't it's not like I'm a nightly watcher of the show.
Okay.
Right? And they're like, you're on in 10 days. All right, well, the Padres season's over, so I'm going to grind Wheel of Fortune for the next 10 days. I was going like 9 to 5 watching Wheel of Fortune episodes, got on the show, made enough money, and then with that money that I had saved up, I was able to move out here and kind of chase a dream working at John Boy Media. So here we are.
Wheel of Fortune got you here.
Yeah. And I only checked my college email because Bryce took Suarez deep, and I was so bummed that I was just trying to kill some time.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It all circles, everything in life circles back to Bryce Harper.
Okay. It's a great take on that. What was it, a changeup down on the leg?
Yep. I actually tweeted right when he took that pitch. I was like, that's scary. It was what I said. That's scary is what I tweeted. He just spit on that changeup. It was disgusting. It was a really good pitch. I know exactly what you're talking
That
about.
changeup had got everyone out that entire playoff run too. Like Suarez was disgusting. And, there's still kind of the revisionist history of they probably should have gone to Hader, lefty on lefty, and Hader's at that point and probably still one of the best closers in baseball.
Yep.
Suarez had been ridiculously good, and the pitch that Harper hit out was a good pitch.
Yeah,
it's not like it was a cookie right down the middle.
Let it travel, took it the other way. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, Hader probably should have been in that spot. And I did tweet that at the time. That's how I felt.
I was going to say, because I feel like, is that where like the uproar about Hader not touching the 8th inning like started?
I wouldn't say started.
Yeah,
but
before that?
I think had he been called on, he would have come in there. In the regular season, no chance. He only goes 3 outs. He has his whole little
routine,
formula, whatever you want to call it. I don't know.
It's probably why he got less than Edwin. It was only by like $1 million, but that's probably why he got less money than Edwin.
See, I might argue that's probably why he got so much, is because his numbers are so good, because he only goes those 3 outs and he doesn't go the 4th out, the 5th out. He doesn't come in back to back days. There were multiple times last year where Hader would get hot in like an 8-3 game or something, and then just wouldn't come in the next day because he got hot the day before. I was like, God.
It's frustrating.
It's the best closer in baseball. I need you out there.
Yeah.
My team is missing the playoffs by 2 games, one of which was against the Diamondbacks, who went to the World Series.
Yeah, you're completely taking games off the schedule. Yeah, it's frustrating.
It's tough.
I get it. But again, that frustration, depending on the team, it did take a while for him to sign. What's going on with that, by the way? Hader and the Astros is a whole separate thing.
Well, and he was bad when he first got traded over to the Padres, too.
Yeah.
That first month, August of 22, he was terrible. They moved him out of the closer role. He was blowing games. And eventually, Melvin put him back in a game in San Francisco, and he kind of had like a shaky 1-2-3 inning.
Yeah.
A lot of, it was ball 3, and everything was nervous. But
do you know what it all circles back to?
You're going to say Bryce Harper?
No, not this one. You know who broke Hader's scoreless streak the season that he got traded to the Padres? When he was still with the Brewers, he had a long scoreless streak to start that season with Milwaukee. It was broken on an Alec Boehm home run.
Back to Alec. That's unbelievable.
It was broken on an Alec Boehm home run. It all circles back. All right, Ryan, I appreciate you coming on, man. I'm looking forward to this series. We are going to be going down to Citizens Bank Park. The Padres are coming to Philadelphia, I believe in June. It's June, right?
Yeah.
It's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday series.
Yeah.
I think we're aiming for the Tuesday game. We're going to do some meet and greet stuff. We're going to organize some things. There's going to be an announcement later, but me and Ryan are going to be at Citizens Bank Park. You're going to be able to go head-to-head against us in some like Phillies, Padres trivia and whatnot. We're going to have some fun down there. Might have some friends with us. So we'll have more information on that down the road. Go Phils.
And go Padres. This is honestly the first time actually hearing the details of this trip.
Yeah, there's more to come. I told you.
It's going to be fun.
I'm setting it up. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to do it for the Terry Pinstripes podcast here today. Ryan, thanks for joining. Dre, thank you for hanging out. Producer Suit, we're going to be back next week. We got Padres 3-game set with the Angels West Coast trip, and then we come home to play the Giants next weekend, and that's probably where we're going to pick things up in the next episode. So I'm out of here. Have a great day. Ryan, you look great.
Thanks for having me, man. It was fun.